This is where the fun begins.
General Kenobi.
Hello there.
Hello and welcome to Jedi Knights, the official Star Wars podcast for JoyClicks. My name is Mike Connors, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Christian Buckley. Christian, how's it going?
Pretty good, Mike. It's Christmas time because of the Disney era. Christmas time feels like Star Wars time.
It does feel like Star Wars time, yeah.
Yeah. I think typically, like, leading into maybe even the year before Episode 7 came out, or like a couple years before, November, I think we have had this conversation before, but because of like Thanksgiving and Spike TV, November always felt like Star Wars month for me.
True, yeah.
So I've just been on a Star Wars high the last few months, you know? So it's nice. It's coming to a big conclusion right now.
I would say out of the 12 months of the year, I think November and December are definitely the Star Wars months for me, because you got that Thanksgiving, and then like Christmas is very Star Wars-y for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also there's always that marathon like near New Year's and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I totally get it.
Wonderful.
But yeah, have you been watching anything, playing anything Star Wars related, Christian? Or...
I've been looking into some stuff, you know, like we're taking a little bit of a break, you know, for the holidays. So I've been kicking around some Star Wars media to explore. You know, I'm feeling an RPG. I'm kicking around ideas of maybe either playing an Old Republic or maybe just like play a Japanese role-playing game and just watching The Sopranos or something over the break. I don't know yet. We'll see. But what about you?
Is watching The Sopranos something that you're gonna have to complete before the end of break? Is that just a given?
I don't know, because like it's my sister's favorite show, and like a bunch of my friends watched it recently, and like they really like it. And I know there's that reboot coming, so I'm like, I want to be involved. So
yeah, no, it's I've never seen it like all the way through, but I've watched like part of the first season. It's pretty good. But yeah, in terms of Star Wars and stuff, not really anything on my end. I've been playing some Ghost of Tsushima actually, so I haven't been in on the grind. And I know I think you recently finished it, correct?
I did. I finally wrapped it up. I took my sweet time with that game. I'm an outlier. It took me like 95 hours. That is not the standard play time for anybody. But it's funny you bring that up, because when I was playing that originally over the summer, I think I brought it up a couple times because I got some Jedi vibes from it. You know, obviously there's the samurai influence.
Totally.
But yeah, man, if we could get like a Jedi game that's like Ghost, that'd be amazing. You know, I'd love that.
I was talking to a friend of the show, Jack Martin, actually this weekend about that. He said the stances that you have in Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
That would be very cool to see in a Star Wars game.
Absolutely.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, moving on from all of this talk, why don't we move on to some of the meat and potatoes of the show here? And we got some cool things to talk about. Some addendums to I think what we talked about last week. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So why don't we start it off with how we always start it, with From the Jedi Archive. This is a segment that we have every single episode where Christian and I both choose a Wikipedia article and explain it to each other. So we learn about something new from the Star Wars universe, or just something that we both enjoy, something goofy. So why don't you tell us what you pulled today, Christian?
So I pulled Arabesh. Are you familiar with this?
Now, yeah, this is like the language, or this is the like the written language, correct?
Yes, this is the written common language for a galaxy far, far away. Arabesh was a writing system used to transcribe Galactic Basic, one of the most used languages in the galaxy. In the Outer Rim territories, Arabesh was sometimes used alongside Outer Rim Basic, another alphabet. Examples seen regularly in the Clone Wars. I believe on a non-canon side, it was introduced in the prequels, and then in the special editions, or like one of the DVD releases of the originals, the English text on interfaces was rewritten in Arabesh.
Yeah, that's actually true, and I feel like that's one of the best additions to the special editions.
Yeah, that's really cool, you know, because it sort of solidifies even further of like, yeah, they're speaking English, but it helps with the fantasy of it all, you know.
Totally. I mean, have you seen any of the breakdowns that like New Rockstars in particular has done over like the Mandalorian episodes?
I haven't, no, but I have seen some TikToks of some people breaking down some stuff. Like there was somebody did like I know this isn't the same language, I don't think, but somebody translated the chain code from Boba Fett's armor.
Yeah, right. That's like the Mandalorian language. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, but I saw the other day somebody translated, I guess it was like a Phineas and Ferb Star Wars movie, and they made like a joke. The writers made a joke in Arabic in the thing, and it was like one frame, so like the creator was responding to someone on TikTok being like, "Oh yeah, congratulations, you got a joke that like 1% of our audience was intended to get, so good job."
That's so funny. If the audience doesn't know, Christian's actually become a force in Star Wars TikTok, so go follow him.
I'm shipping away. We're doing good things about every Star Wars movie every day. This is day 8, I think. We're talking about Return of the Jedi later today, so at Shun2D2.
Do you wanna plug your TikTok here?
Oh, absolutely. At Shun2D2. Yeah. And if you're listening to this show because of the TikTok, welcome.
That's so funny.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, so moving on from that, Christian, is there anything else that you want to say about Arabash?
It's another aside, but I'm thinking about my Obi-Wan tattoo. I'm thinking of maybe getting some writing underneath the lightsaber hilt in Arabesh.
What would it say?
Maybe like a hello there or something, I don't know yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really doesn't matter what it says. It's going to look cool no matter what.
Exactly. So, but what about you?
Well,
what do you pull?
Yeah, so I pulled Death Troopers today.
Nice.
It was just something I was talking to my friend Steven earlier today. We were talking about Star Wars, and I was thinking about how cool the Death Troopers are. Now, they were an elite variant of the Galactic Empire stormtroopers designed for stealth, espionage, and lethality. They were first shown in Rogue One, as we all know. And they basically were bodyguards. They served as protective details for significant Imperial officers, sort of like, Krennic. They helped protect Krennic. They were all black, which is so cool, I think. And they had specialized helmets with vocal scramblers, which made them sound like super strange.
I love that.
So yeah. Oh, I love that too. The one thing about it though is how do they all do their helmets also unscramble, right? Because how do they all understand what they're saying?
So I assume the way it works is either an unscramble or they have a line from what they're saying just as a direct feed to the other helmets. So they're speaking, but to everybody else who doesn't have a helmet on, it's gibberish,
Fair.
So
it's one of the I really like the Death Troopers. I really do. I have one of the 12-inch figures of it. But I really like them because they feel like they fit into the original trilogy, but it's one of those new editions, one of those Disney editions. Yeah. And they just very much mesh very well together with the rest of it. So I appreciate the Death Troopers.
Yeah. I feel the same way about the Shore Troopers. I really like those designs a lot.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the Shore Troopers are cool. And it was cool how we got to see them come back in The Mandalorian as
Definitely.
well. So, I guess we can move on from the Jedi Archive. That was a great pick that we just had, both of us here, Christian. And why don't we move on to some of the news? I guess I put this first on the docket here. It's kind of a sad piece of news, but I think that we should talk about it first just to give it the respect that it deserves. Jeremy Bullock, who played Boba Fett in the original trilogy, he died last Thursday at the age of 75. Apparently, according to the New York Times, he had been in declining health and had Parkinson's disease. So, yeah, rest in peace, Jeremy Bullock. Christian, anything to say about that?
Yeah, it's sad. As much as I clown on Boba Fett, he struck a chord with audiences for a reason, And I really like the quote you have pulled here that he said. Yeah. I thought of Boba Fett as Clint Eastwood in a suit of armor, which is exactly what he's meant to be, And I think he carries that well in the originals. So super cool. I think we talked about it last week too. There's that picture that I saw that's just ingrained in my head now of Boba Fett in Jabba's palace, behind the scenes, and he's got the mask off. He just got this big glasses, dope mustache, just hanging out. So
apparently, he got the role just because he fit in the suit. Did you know
great.
that?
That's what I want. Honestly, that's what I want.
You just it was almost made for him apparently. Yeah, it should be noted that he didn't actually voice him in the original trilogy. It's since been dubbed over by Tamora Morrison, as we all know. But Jason Wingreen, who also passed away in 2016, he voiced Boba Fett. But yeah, R.I.P. to Jeremy Bullock. It's kind of did you think it was kind of interesting that this death came like while Boba Fett like becomes like it seems like Boba Fett is more in like the zeitgeist now, and like it's very strange that this death comes now.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation, like it's untimely and everything, and it's unfortunate because like I think you run into a position where Star Wars is just so omnipotent now that like there's always going to be some content going around, and there's so many versions of these characters now to the point where like if someone does pass away, like odds are this it's in somewhat release, but it's very very close, like you're saying, in terms of just the specific character and who created them. And I know like similarly when Carrie Fisher passed away, that was like right before Rogue One, right? And then
oh yeah
at the end it was CG Leia, so that was like a big shock too. But yeah,
for sure. Yeah, well, I mean, it's really interesting, and it's really sad that he passed away. So R.I.P. to Jeremy Bullock for sure.
R.I.P.
Well, why don't we move on to the next piece of news here, Christian? I think this is something that we may have missed, right?
Okay.
I'm not sure. Last week, but we didn't get to see any footage from Obi-Wan Kenobi, but investors did, and now we have a description of what they saw. So this is via comicbook.com here, and there was a lot of cool stuff in this interview here. Hold on a second.
I did see Ewan McGregor, lots of fanfare for him recently, just in general. There was like some celebration going on Twitter and hyping him up for good reason.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, but I know.
Is there a possibility we could? Is there? Hold on, I'm like having a hard time finding this right now.
It's all good. It's all good. I can fill time. Now, let me tell you about some of these TikToks I've been doing, Mike, because
yeah, please tell me.
The first one I did that blew up and has incentivized me to continue. It caused me to change my username because originally it was just Chris and Buckley, but I did a TikTok that blew up with the Star Wars crowd, and it was around the Boba Fett episode, and I was like, the big like click on me font was like, Star Wars fans don't deserve Star Wars, and the sentiment is just me at like 1 a.m. chilling in a big chair, being like 40 years of doing nothing. Everybody hypes up Boba Fett. Then he shows up, and all of a sudden everyone's calling him Boba Fett. I fucking hate Star Wars fans. So
well, I mean, he didn't really fit into the armor very well.
He didn't, but I loved that. I was like, yeah, it's a 60-year-old man kicking ass. He's gonna have some weight to him. And personally,
it's true.
I think he looks better than ever.
Yeah, no, he definitely kicks ass. That's for sure, and he looks great. That's why I wanted to see just like you, I wanted to see a Black series, but I guess we're not getting that anytime
It's coming.
soon.
I know it's coming.
We'll get to that, but I actually just pulled up what I wanted to pull up.
Sure.
A little bit of tough. But yeah, so we got some descriptions about what investors to Disney saw on Investor Day in terms in regard to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. So apparently they got to see some sort of sizzle reel. I don't think that there was any footage from the actual show. I don't think that they've actually started filming that yet.
Right.
But there's a description here on comicbook.com of what they saw. So Ewan McGregor says, there's a hunger for this character to come back. The fans have been waiting long enough. And then Deborah Chow says, this is quite a dark time that we're coming into with him just being a Jedi. It's not safe. There are Jedi hunters out there. Interesting. Jedi hunters? I don't know what that is. Yeah, maybe, right?
Yeah. Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add? Because I want to throw something at you for Obi-Wan.
No, yeah, throw it at me.
What if, in bringing back Vader and Anakin, or Hayden, sorry, we explore the idea of Vader having a secret apprentice. And
Me?
and then Mike, what if said secret apprentice was played by Sam Witwer? And then what if he outlived Vader and Palpatine? So then we can have like a bridging the gap villain for Luke Skywalker post 6, and it's like the son of Anakin, Luke Skywalker, versus the son of Vader, Starkiller.
That would be really cool.
Right? All I'm saying.
You
I'm just think, like, if it's the middle, if it's in between A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith, it's like a halfway difference almost, and we just explore that a little bit. We just pepper the seeds out there. Vader training some kid. Come on.
I mean, you know, this is taking place. This Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series is taking place 10 years, a decade after the end of Revenge of the Sith. So it's very possible that Vader has some sort of secret apprentice, right? Like,
yeah. Like, because when they say Jedi hunters, the easy thing is like Inquisitors, right?
Totally, yeah.
So, like, do you think we'd mess around with like the second sister or something at this point? I don't know what the crossover is there. Like, Trilla got killed, right, at the end of Fallen Order.
I forget how long does Fallen Order take place after Revenge of the Sith? It's like 5 years,
yeah,
right?
I want to say 5 years. So
yeah, Trilla is dead, unfortunately. But I mean, that doesn't mean that there aren't any more Inquisitors, right? Because we definitely see, you know, like later on in Rebels, there are still Inquisitors as well, and I believe that takes place a bit closer to the end of, you know, that era. But yeah, so I mean, it could be Inquisitors. I do like the idea that you have that it could be some sort of like Force Unleashed. We're bringing back Force Unleashed, and we're taking Starkiller and we're putting him back into the canon, which would be actually pretty freaking cool. And having him face off against Luke would be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally great ideas here. Moving on though, I do want to get to some more of the sizzle reel here. Apparently, a concert art showed a Jedi with a lightsaber blade ignited, defending a trio of younglings as Darth Vader marches on the Jedi Temple with a legion of clone troopers. Makes me think: are they going to like go back to the Jedi Temple or something like that?
I can maybe see. So is it Vader as in Vader or Vader as in pre-suit Vader?
The newly anointed Darth Vader.
So it's fresh-faced Anakin then.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
So like honestly, Hayden Christensen has like barely aged, like at all. He still looks very similar. You know, like put some makeup on him, he'll look exactly like young Anakin.
So flashbacks maybe.
I'm thinking flashbacks. Maybe we get some TV-14 in here, and we get a little more than just an ignition in a room of kids, and we like.
I mean,
we explore a little more of like what actually went down in the temple, because I know that wasn't really explored too much.
No.
Maybe with this burgeoning universe, we throw a little Grogu cameo in there somewhere. I don't know. Maybe this is where we learn who saved Grogu. Because
hey, that's actually true. It's possible.
So
I mean, that'd be neat actually.
Yeah, because like I think if you like we talked about it last week, if you bring Hayden back as Vader, he can only do so much under the suit. So you do have to find some way to utilize Hayden Christensen, and I think flashbacks is the easy answer. You know,
that's definitely the way to do it for sure. Yeah. So another quote from Ewan McGregor about Obi-Wan: "Quote: He has this one task left, which is to keep Luke safe." So I guess that's going to be the main MO. Not really, you know, obviously.
Now, will Luke be played by a child, or will he be created in a computer? What do you think?
I think Luke's going to be just a kid, like a child actor. Yeah.
Okay, I agree. I'm just kidding.
I think Luke's definitely going to be in the show.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
If at least for like a scene, right?
I mean, yeah. I think Luke knew of old Ben. Like they knew each other.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Okay, so some more concept art shows a stingray-like creature floating above slave workers toiling away in the barren, sandy landscape of Tatooine. Quote: We start on Tatooine and we go on a rollicking adventure, McGregor teased, over a glimpse at a watery planet where armed soldiers fire upon a many-armed sea creature. Weird.
What are you thinking then? Are you thinking Camino or something?
Watery planet, sea creature. I don't know. It really could be anything because we thought that Camino, it was that they're going to Camino in the Mandalorian, but that was
Sure.
just some random water planet, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's Star Wars, so who's to say that we don't go to that random water planet that we already introduced that one time in Mando, and now it's just the water planet, you know?
It's true. Yeah, it's very possible. They seem like they keep going back to Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
We only been to Jakku like once, so
Yeah, what was that line? Why does everybody want to go back to Jakku?
yeah.
You're wrong. It's Tatooine.
But stingray-like creature floating above slave workers on Tatooine. Weird. I don't know what that's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is all just like interesting. It sounds like just like Star Wars stuff, like weird aliens and faraway planets. I don't know what it could be.
Yeah, and we gotta. I'm imagining the thing investors saw that we're talking about right now is similar to what we saw of Cassian, where it was 2 minutes of Diego Luna talking about the character, how he's excited, and then like seeing the props, seeing the sets.
Yeah.
I just imagine since Kenobi's further out and they haven't started production yet, unlike Cassian, that's why we didn't see anything, because there's not much to show, you know?
Yeah, I think this is just more to keep investors like happy for the time being. But yeah, so moving on, there's a quote from Deborah Chow, quote, "We couldn't tell the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi without addressing Anakin or Vader." She added over an image of the armored Vader seated on a throne as he communicates with a hologram, possibly his master, the reigning emperor of the Galactic Empire. So yeah, it seems like Anakin, like the Anakin fresh face version and Vader in the suit, they're both going to be in this show.
Yeah, and that's what I'm excited about and what I'm expecting, because I do think you've introduced the idea that Vader can like live without the helmet on, you know. So like, I think we'll get some of that too. But
yeah. Quote, the most beautiful thing of all that is that it's brought me back together with Hayden, McGregor said. It'll be amazing to bring those characters back together again, very unexpectedly. Then Deborah Chow confirmed that audience will, quote, definitely see Obi-Wan and Darth Vader get into it again. As investors saw the blue blade of a hooded Obi-Wan clash with the fiery red blade of Darth Vader, evoking imagery of their previous encounter in Revenge of the Sith. So then McGregor says, Ewan McGregor says, having another swing at each other might be quite satisfying for everybody. We hope that you enjoy it as much as we're going to enjoy making it. That's pretty cool.
I don't think there's any world where I'm disappointed in that fight.
There is no world where I'm disappointed in that fight. It's just like it's funny how like they're just like not even trying to like hide it. They're like, yeah, no, they're just gonna go at it again. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, like, listen, I enjoyed like the Batman v Superman thing. I enjoyed the marketing hype behind that. Like, but if you're telling me that Obi-Wan Kenobi is gonna fight Vader again, that is what they called it, the rematch of the century. That's what it is, you know. Like, that's it.
Yeah, no, like legit, like it's one of those things, man. Like where like they like it really like the hype is already just like so baked into it. Like they don't even really have to do anything. Like
Yeah.
they could just probably market this movie off the fact that like Obi-Wan fights Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And it would be enough. Like
I didn't even know I wanted that, you know? Because the initial reaction was like, how? And then I was like, you know what? Never mind.
I mean, like, always in my headcanon, I kind of thought that, like, when Obi-Wan and Vader... Like, I've seen a lot of people upset about this, but in my headcanon, I've always thought, like, Vader and Obi-Wan had, like, come together after Mustafar, but before A New Hope. Like, They had fought each other at least once between, like, that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people have been upset because they're like, oh, well, you know, A New Hope is supposed to be the first time that they meet each other after Mustafar. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a franchise that had a throwaway lineup at the Clone Wars and turned it into like a multi-million-dollar franchise, you know? Like, expect this. Expect this from everything in Star Wars, you know? Like, I personally, I do like when things are not connected to everything, but it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, he's tied to Anakin and Vader, so, like, if they can find a way to make it work, which they easily could, I'm fine with it, and I'm excited for it.
Totally, me too. I think Deborah Chow says it perfectly that they couldn't tell the story of Obi-Wan without addressing Anakin. So,
Yeah.
They're all so intertwined.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm super excited for that. Very cool that we got a description of what investors got to see there. Hopefully we get to see something soon. Do you think we will?
May the 4th.
You think so?
Yeah, how easy would it be to win that day? You drop a Boba Fett trailer, you drop an Obi-Wan trailer. It's like, okay, you pleased literally everybody.
I know, yeah. No, I totally. I think May the 4th is probably accurate. There's going to be a lot more Star Wars for us to talk about on the show.
For sure.
So let's get on to the next headline here. So this is coming from Variety. The Mandalorian was the top streamed TV show across most popular platforms in November. So figures from a predictive analytics company, 7Park Data, shared exclusively with Variety. It's that data suggests that The Mandalorian was the biggest streaming title across Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, Hulu, Prime Video, and Netflix in the month of November. So yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like from what I've seen, like I knew Queen's Gambit has been like all over my timeline. I haven't watched it yet. It sounds super dope. Like you made a riveting show about chess, so I want to watch that.
It is really good, actually. I've watched the Queen's Gambit.
But I feel like this is a conversation that we've had before. Disney Plus, I think, just based on the nature of it and the IP they own, is just it's like the easiest, like widest net of all the services. You know, like most people, considering how popular they are, most people enjoy Star Wars and Marvel. You know, so like. Yeah, having that content on your service. Listen, I really like The Witcher show on Netflix, but you're gonna tell me that like The Witcher show can grab as much of an audience as a show about Star Wars? Is like, no disrespect to The Witcher, because I know it does really well, and I really like that show. But yeah, this is like, it's not that it's expected, but I'm glad it's working out. I guess.
I guess so. It's in a way though, it's like kind of unfair, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like it's business, so it's like it's not really unfair. Like Disney is well within their rights to just like make a bunch of Star Wars TV shows.
Yeah.
But like it's so well known. Like they have such well known IPs that, you know, granted they've done a lot to like build up themselves, but like you know, they're basically able to just ride off of these IPs, and Netflix, like they can't compete with Star Wars, right? Like,
yeah.
Like how do you compete with Star Wars? How do you compete with like WandaVision?
Yeah, because like even Netflix is still trying to chase Game of Thrones. You know, like that's what The Witcher was supposed to try and go after. Netflix has Stranger Things, which I think is absolutely a really big deal, and I think
totally.
You know, there's Stranger Things toys at Target. You know, I could go there right now.
But on the spectrum of like Marvel superheroes, like Star Wars and Stranger Things, it's like they can't compare them.
Sure, exactly, yeah. Like, I think Netflix is clearly, they're investing in a lot of things. You know, I think most recently that I've been really interested in is like, it seems like they're investing pretty heavily with like video game adaptations, like. They've done a bunch of anime based on games. I know they're working on Resident Evil show, like a couple Resident Evil films. They're working on Castlevania.
Netflix, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So like they're really chasing that. I think they just announced like a Sonic show too, and I know they're trying to get like Avatar up and running and like a Cowboy Bebop show. So they're pulling on a lot of interesting IPs. But you're right. Like Disney has Star Wars on their service, so like.
Yeah, I'm not trying to knock Netflix at all. Like I said, I love the Queen's Gambit, and like I am one of those people who like actually like really likes The Crown too. So like I know that like Netflix is like putting out like good stuff. but it's like, how do you compete with Star Wars? You can't on some level. Like,
and I mean, on the other side, I do think it's seasonal too, because like 2 months from now, unless the Bad Batch hits in like March, Netflix could drop another original series that really kicks off, and then like they own the next 6 months until we get a new Star Wars or Marvel thing, but
right, yeah. I mean, it's all depending on like what's most popular at the time and everything. So
for sure.
well, yeah, interesting stuff that the Mandalorian was the most popular across all the platforms last month. I think we may see something similar again in December because of the weight of these last few episodes have been quite enormous. So why don't we get into some of that Disney Plus TV show news? And one of the upcoming TV shows is The Bad Batch. Of course, this is a hotly anticipated, almost like sequel to the Clone Wars, as we discussed last week. And we know this is coming sometime next year. That's confirmed, correct?
Yes.
So I would assume sometime probably in the beginning of next year. And yeah, so this is confirmed that Ming-Na Wen will come back and voice Fennec Shand in The Bad Batch. So apparently Dave Filoni had Ming-Na Wen stay silent about this, even though like her character was in the trailer, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's just kind of interesting that that's happening. I wonder like where they're going to go with that character. I think she has a lot of potential.
Yeah, again, what a comeback story. We talked about it last year with season 1. I love her. I was so upset that Fennec got just like axed,
So I remember being like upset on the show about that.
Yeah, but like the fact that now she's like gonna be in Mandalorian, a spin-off show next year, and then The Bad Batch to like set up her origin, like honestly, well deserved. Great job. Love to see it.
Yeah, she's great. And it seems, yeah, she's going. We're going to get to it, but she's also going to be in the Boba Fett show as well.
Yeah.
So very cool stuff. Apparently, I was reading this interview that StarWars.com did with Ming-Na Wen, and apparently Ming-Na Wen and Dave Filoni, they grew up in the same town, Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, which is kind of funny, I think.
Yeah.
and sort of random, but yeah, interesting. And there's a cool quote in there in terms of Fennec's relationship with Boba Fett during The Mandalorian. Ming-Na Wen says there's a dependency and a respect that they have for each other for sure. It's more like teamwork. He's sort of the front guy, but behind the curtain, we're more equal. Like that one scene in chapter 14 where she's like, "You better go to your ship." He just goes. I really, really liked that. That's what she said.
Yeah. I like them as a pairing a lot.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of interesting though because like she's supposed to be in his debt, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, hey, he helped out altruistically. It was bound by honor, but he's hanging around with some heroes, so maybe he's having a little bit change of heart.
Yeah, I mean, who we'll have to see because we're getting some more news about that, which we'll get to in a second.
And I truly do think that if you look back at Boba Fett in the original trilogy, I don't think outside of the fact that he's working for Vader, there's anything that's like a definitive stamp. This is a villain. Like he captured Han. Like he transported Han. Like he's doing what he's meant to do. Like Din would have done that at the beginning of this show. Season 1, episode 1. If he got hired to transfer Han Solo, he would have done it.
Oh, for sure, totally.
So I think, yeah.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I think he'd come around. I don't even know if, like, as a child, yeah, I would have said he's gonna be a villain because he's a snot-nosed kid that like sucks.
Yeah.
But we don't know a lot of his like adult or early young adult bounty hunting career, what that looked like. So I don't know like what side he played really.
Yeah, I know that we kind of discussed this just a bit on the show, and like I know very from a cursory knowledge of like the Star Wars Legends, the former expanded universe. Boba Fett was like weirdly like strict in some of the things that he was like. I don't know. He had a very strange like moral code. So hopefully we'll see some nuance to the character because I think he has the potential for it for sure. He's been through some serious stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, yeah, Boba Fett's seriously having a renaissance right now. And I really love it because it's turned a character that was sort of just like in the background into somebody who is, a main face of Star Wars in a real way.
Yeah.
And going back to what you were saying, as a kid, I don't think I necessarily saw him as a villain. I just kind of saw him as just like out for himself, really. I didn't like associate him with the Empire, I guess, but
Yeah.
I don't think he was supposed to.
Yeah, I think it's implied that he takes bounties from Vader often, and like in the Vader comic, we've seen like he has. So
Yeah.
clearly, there's no moral code there when it comes to that sort of thing. But like, look at Mayfeld. Like there's nuance there in his episode where he's talking about how he served an ideology and things like that. So I think there's a lot of room to explore, and I don't think the people that might be upset that Boba Fett's turning into like a hero or an anti-hero, like give it a shot, because I don't think I think that's a lot more interesting than being like, oh yeah, he kills people. Like, oh.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think we're going to get to that in just a second. I just want to like say one thing. I did see on StarWars.com that we're going to get I think we talked about this on the show previously, but there's just a little bit more information about this. We're going to get a Mando Season 2 Disney Gallery series similar to Season 1 on Christmas Day, but this time, instead of 8 episodes, it's just going to be a one-done hour-long thing, which I think is better, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I like when we get in the nitty-gritty, so I would have loved to see an entire discussion episode just about the Ahsoka
Totally.
or bringing back Boba Fett, but like,
yeah,
I'm still going to enjoy this, I'm still going to like seeing Filoni and Bryce Dallas Howard and Favreau and whoever else they can scrape up to talk about the season, because it was a strong season.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm sure that we're going to get some interesting tidbits coming from this, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's official, Christian. Let's move on to the biggest news here. The Mandalorian Season 3 and the newly announced The Book of Boba Fett, which was teased at the end of this week's episode, which we will be talking about, of The Mandalorian, are indeed separate TV shows, and they will be both coming out tentatively next year.
Yeah, so
wow.
Book of Boba Fett was clarified to be its own thing this morning as of recording, Monday the 21st of December. Whenever Investors Day was, Kathleen Kennedy said Mando Season 3 starts on Christmas. And then the end of the episode says The Book of Boba Fett, December 2021. So that's why over the weekend there was some speculation. It's like, hey, is Season 3 of Mando about Boba Fett? Is that what we're doing? But like you said, not the case. We're getting two separate things. So now I am wondering, Mike, because there were rumors this year that we were getting a Boba Fett miniseries. I could see a world where the Book of Boba Fett is what the first... I'm looking at a calendar for next year. Yeah, the first 3 to 4 weeks of December, and then on Christmas Day, Mando Season 3 starts. So we could still get a 3 to 4 episode Boba Fett series in December before Season 3 of Mando hits. So
yeah, I guess it's not confirmed whether or not this is going to be, a TV series that lasts multiple seasons, or if it's just sort of like a one and done miniseries sort of deal, like we're going to get with Kenobi. But yeah, I think it's really great news, because I was like kind of nervous over the whole weekend, like what's going to be the deal? Like, are we just going to get, like, is Mando Season 3 just going to be about Boba Fett and we're not going to pick up with Din? Like, that would have been really disappointing to me. But yeah, so good thing that's not the case.
yeah.
Yeah.
They also said in the announcement that it's going to be taking place alongside Mando Season 3 and the Mandalorian timeline. So this
Did they say it's gonna go alongside Mando Season 3, or just set within the Mandalorian?
Within the Mandalorian timeline. So I'm assuming it's going to lead into Season 3.
That's what I think.
And I think this is sort of a way for us to kind of get maybe a 12 episode season of the Mandalorian, kind of.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for it. We leave off in a really interesting place that teases what the Book of Boba Fett could be about. We're back on Tatooine.
Right.
So, do you just want to talk about that now, because it's kind of separate from the rest of the episode?
Yeah, we should just talk about that really quick. If you want to just summarize what happens,
So there's a post-credit scene after the main whole thing with the crew is done. Fennec rolls up to Jabba's palace, and none other than Bib Fortuna decided to take over.
A fat Bib Fortuna.
Yeah, apparently that was also Matthew Wood, so voice of Grievous. He was under the makeup and costume, so that was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so Bib Fortuna decided to take over Jabba's role since they all died on the sail barge. He's like, oh, seat's open. So,
which doesn't make sense because Bib Fortuna, I think, was also on the sail barge.
Yeah, so maybe he... Hey, like, Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc, so maybe this dude just, like, jumped off a little bit before the explosion went off. You don't know.
Yeah.
So Fennec rolls up. She frees a Twi'lek slave. Boba rolls down, freshly killing a Gamorrean guard. And then Bib was like, Boba, nice to see you. And then he just, like, blows him away. And then he rips his corpse off Jabba's throne and then sits down there. And then Fennec takes one of Jabba's finest drinks off the shelf and takes a big swig of it.
Some spatchka.
Some spatchka, thank you. And
spatchka.
Then she's just chilling on the throne next to Boba Fett, and they're just hanging out. And then Book of Boba Fett coming December 21.
It looks pretty cool, man, I have to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do you think it's going to be a miniseries, or do you think it's going to be like, a real TV show with multiple seasons?
I think I'm going to say it's a miniseries for now, because it's worth noting that Filoni and Favreau are still producing it, and Robert Rodriguez is also involved. He directed the Boba Fett episode.
Yeah, and Tamara Morrison and Ming-Na Wen are coming back.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
So I think, because, if I'm remembering correctly, didn't Favreau want to make a Boba Fett show? And then it turned into The Mandalorian?
I think that's like the rumor, because it's so similar. You know?
So I'd say that, considering where we might be going with The Mandalorian in terms of the overarching story, I could see a world where if the Book of Boba Fett does very, very well, and I'm assuming it will, we might get a second season. But for now, I'm gonna believe the rumors from this year that it's a miniseries. Because I don't know if they'd want to have two shows running simultaneously. Like, Monday is Boba Fett night, Friday is Mandalorian night. I don't think they want to get there yet. So
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
So apparently, according to Star Wars Newsnet, which is where I got a lot of this information, I did watch the Good Morning America thing that Jon Favreau was on earlier today, Monday. But yeah, apparently the filming for the Book of Boba Fett has been going on for several weeks now. So they've been hard at work at this behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And The Mandalorian season 3 still targeted for Christmas 2021, and that's already well in pre-production according to Jon Favreau. So
nice.
So one thing I wanted to say, just because we're getting Robert Rodriguez, who's involved in this project, are we finally going to get Machete in the Star Wars universe?
Absolutely. Yeah. Danny Trejo, he's gonna be here with his space machete, and he's gonna be part of the crew. It's gonna be Fennec, Boba, and Danny Trejo.
Do you think so, though? I mean, like, I can see it. Like, I see how that could work.
He'd fit in so well. Like, look at the rest of Tatooine and, like, the type of people we run into. Like, who knows? Maybe even Cobb Vanth gets involved or something, Like, I could see some cool, like, small, separate crew be formed in the Boba Fett universe. Like, I really am interested in that. But I want to ask you, what do you think Boba's plan is? Like, does he just want to take over... Does he want to fill the role of Jabba now? Does he want to own Crown on Tatooine? Like, what's up with him?
I don't know, man. I don't know what his deal is. I think that would make the most sense. I mean, I don't know if he's changed at all in terms of, like, his mindset from, like, the original trilogy, because we know that he was very much involved in the underworld and the crime world and everything in the Star Wars universe before he was eaten by the Sarlacc. I don't know if he's changed at all, if he has, like, more of, like, a bit of a heart, it's possible. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I don't know.
I did see somebody say, I saw it on Twitter. I was scrolling and I saw somebody be like, oh, this would be an awesome place to explore the idea of, like, liberating the slaves on Tatooine and, like, eliminating slavery. Because, like, I could see a world maybe where Boba Fett has this, like, the strict honor thing where he's like, I don't believe in slaves, or something like that. And because he's a clone, there's maybe some sort of paranoia of free will that exists within him and is part of his code. Like, I think that could be cool if we explore like Boba Fett setting up and like taking over the head of Jabba's empire and like the seeds it explores in Tatooine and just trying to like purge it and like create a new order or something.
That's the thing. I can definitely see him taking over, like, the underworld, right? Like taking that throne that Jabba had. But what he's going to do with it, I can't say. I think it would be really interesting for him to try to like dismantle it from the inside. Like, and I think that would be interesting for the character too.
Yeah.
I think that Boba Fett is more than just like a hardened bounty hunter. I think that maybe you don't know, like, where has he been, what has he experienced, like how has he changed. He could have changed, like he could have done a 180. We have no idea, really.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing him in the Mandalorian, he definitely seems like he's still down to kick ass, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So is this show, do you think, going to combine with like Rangers of the New Republic and stuff as well?
I would assume, because if it is going on with that Mandalorian timeline, I think it's sort of going to give us the hints of what we can expect from Rangers and Ahsoka, because when those shows were announced, they were introduced as being part of the Mandalorian timeline, and based on where we see Boba and Fennec at the end of season 2 of the Mandalorian, I can see a world where they're not really in play much in Mando season 3, but whatever this event we're building towards across Rangers, Ahsoka, and Mando, I could see Boba Fett have to be pulled out of his own series for the greater good or something.
Totally. Yep. All right. Well, why don't we get moving on to some of the other news here? We also got some cool behind-the-scene footage from Empire Strikes Back for its 40th anniversary that were released over the past few days. If you want to go look that up, I think it's on like the Star Wars YouTube channel and everything like that. So it's pretty cool, I guess. I watched some of it earlier today.
Any highlights?
Not really. It's kind of just like stuff that I think we've all kind of seen before, just from different angles, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, it was interesting. They're really short. They're like 6 or 7 minutes each. So
nice.
Yeah. So why don't we move on to Mando Monday before we can talk about the most recent episode, the finale of season 2. And we got some interesting stuff today. First, we got a Force FX Dark Saber, which is pretty cool. It's like $250 though.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? I hope that it looks good. It kind of scares me, to be honest.
I'm very interested to see what the light effect is like. Like, does it emit white? What does it emit?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's supposed to really emit. Like, both. Like,
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm saving my investment for my Galaxy's Edge trip to buy a lightsaber there, make my own.
Yeah.
One.
For sure. Yeah. Don't. Not yet. Not yet on the Force FX Dark Saber. First, I got to get that Force FX Kit Fisto.
Yeah. Plus, like, I feel like we know now. Like, I can't pay for that. I have to destroy somebody in combat, and then I can get it.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no way that I could. Yeah. You'd have to kill the cashier at Target for it. Just kidding. Don't take that seriously, people. Anyway, so there's an IG-11 with a Grogu. So like IG-11 with Grogu on a stomach, Funko Pop. That's cool, I guess, if you're into that. There's a child backpack. I thought it was a cool little pattern. From Loungefly. Looks sweet if you're into that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Hot Wheels dropped some character cars, so cars that sort of are inspired by the characters in Mandalorian. We got like a Baby Yoda one. We got like a Din Djarin one, it seems. So those are kind of cool.
Yeah, those are cute. I like them.
So in terms of Hasbro stuff, unfortunately, in terms of the Black Series, we didn't get a Cobb Vanth, and we didn't get a Boba Fett from the Mandalorian either.
No.
So big sad in terms of that.
Yeah.
But we did get a Black Series Boba Fett helmet, a re-armored Boba Fett helmet from the Mandalorian.
Mike, if this was not going to ship 2 years from now, I'd probably buy it.
Yeah, the thing is, it's supposed to come out spring 2022, which is a long time from now.
Now, it's funny too, because recently, like yesterday, I was looking at the qualifications and requirements to join the the New England Mandalorian crew. Are you familiar with
The
this?
new no.
So you know how there's like the 501st where it's like you could make your own stormtrooper outfit and you can join that membership thing,
Yeah.
and then you like do charity events. There's a
sure,
similar
yeah.
group for Mandalorians,
Okay.
and they have all these guidelines for like, hey, if you want to build a suit, you gotta like meet these requirements, and then you can like fill out forms and you can join as a member, and then you can do like one event a year as like a charity thing. And it sounds super cool, and if I had the money aside and time, I would absolutely make a Mandalorian outfit. And I know some of the things they did was like they'll take helmets like that and they'll modify them so you can make your own custom stuff. But
That would be cool.
that'd
be very cool. Very much worth sharing. Are you interested in any of this stuff like now though, Christian?
Not really.
Not really.
Bummed. I'm bummed.
I'm pretty bummed too. I mean, the Slave One looks cool.
Yeah, like that's cool, but at the same, like it's an Empire Strikes Back era. Like there's a Carbonite Han in that thing. Like, why? You know?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe because it's like the 40th anniversary and everything.
Sure. Yeah, it is labeled Empire Strikes Back, but like, man, it's Mando Monday. Like,
I know. It's because the Slave One is appearing in Mandalorian. That's why.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say now that Mando Monday kind of is lame, in my opinion.
I had higher expectations after that first week.
Yeah, the first week was really the best.
Yeah. Hopefully in the coming months we'll get some more waves of Black Series announced. You know, I'm gonna take away some of my hope that I had for a cool Boba Fett. Or yeah, man.
I think within a few months we'll definitely see some more.
Sure. And the other thing I'm really surprised at too is because we didn't really see a ton of Ahsoka stuff, and I thought that maybe that was similar to the Baby Yoda thing last year of like, hey, we're not printing any merch because we don't want to get that revealed. There's like Ahsoka and Luke. You could have done stuff. I thought we were gonna have some more stuff for the final week, but I guess not. You know.
I guess not. Yeah.
So.
Well, hopefully we get some more Black Series stuff in the coming weeks and months. But why don't we move on to the meat and potatoes here of the episode and talk about the finale of Mandalorian season 2. We're already there, Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 16, The Rescue. And what an episode!
Yeah, it was a good episode, Mike.
What to even say, right? Like I don't even know where to begin.
Well, it was directed by Peyton Reed. This was the second episode of the season.
There you go.
First
Wait,
episode.
which one did he do first?
I believe he did the spider episode.
Okay.
Where the ship crashed, and the Republic Filoni guy showed up.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah, but he did this one as well. It's foot on the gas the entire time from like the second we kick off. You know, we dive in, we find the doctor, and then it's like, okay, we're boarding Gideon's ship with this whole gang. Oh, well, first we grab Bo-Katan again and Sasha Banks' character. So,
which I didn't know we were going to see again.
Yeah, I was really expecting it to not be anyone beside the 3 that we've had, or 4, I guess, including Kara, and then maybe Ahsoka. Like I wasn't really thinking Ahsoka would come back, but I thought if we were gonna have another person, it would be her, and I thought Bo would be a season 3 deal.
Right. Yeah. It turns out that was sort of just like flipped on its head in a way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, right from the beginning, like you said, it's just like foot on the gas, it never stops, just straight to the end. I want to know how they figured out where Dr. Pershing was, though. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, like you'd have to assume it's on that face computer, right? We
did
that last week.
We could just say that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, once they find Dr. Pershing, they sort of just like plan their attack. Now that they have all the resources that they need, right? Sort of just like get onto Moff Gideon's cruiser, and that's what they do. They recruit Bo-Katan, and they go off to save Baby Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
They have this big plan where they're going to use the Lambda shuttle that they got in the beginning of the episode, and try to sort of like pretend like they're being attacked by the Slave One, and it sort of works, honestly. And Boba Fett sort of just like goes away. He never comes back.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, am I going too fast here? Just like kind of
No, because I mean that's the episode. Like it kicks off with a little bit of lore with like Bo and Boba having some tension, and like
true. Yeah, yeah.
Everything after that, it's like, hey, this is the plan. Now we're executing. Because I think it's paced really well. I think it's like a 40-minute episode, so it's not short, but it builds well because it starts off and slow-ish, kind of, not even slow, but like we're doing some more setup, and as soon as things start to come together, it's just like a continual like uphill climb constantly, Yeah. And props to Peyton Reed for directing the episode that way, because I really thought it had a nice strong pace. Everything we followed through on with the plan, like the boarding, the splitting up, I really
liked. It all worked.
Yeah, it all worked really well. It was very entertaining. I liked Fennec, Bo, and Sasha Banks. I'm forgetting who Sasha Banks' character's name is.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah. And then Kara as well. I liked them being like the squad that was like leading point, basically going up to the bridge.
Have you seen The Boys?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna make it anyway. It's Girls Get It Done. Nice. That's the Boys reference that I was about to make.
Very nice. But yeah, that was dope. That was really cool seeing them just power through all the stormtroopers on Gideon's ship. Meanwhile, though, Din is off doing his own journey, going to the prison cell to get Grogu, doing a little stealth action with that Beskar saber. You see that in the back. It's like, ooh, they're gonna use that, huh?
But first, he tries to, eject all the Dark Troopers, and he's pretty successful in that. But he has to deal with one, and they're really scary.
Yeah, I thought that scene worked well. Similar to how last week when he was fighting in the transport trooper armor, it showed him having some weakness. Because this entire season we've seen him be a literal bullet sponge. But he was
that's ridiculous that like the Beskar armor can just take anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I think lore wise, it makes a lot of sense that the Mandalorians and the Jedi would have some conflict if
True.
their armor can resist lightsabers. But besides that, seeing him face off against the Dark Trooper, I think it works well because of where we get to at the end of the episode. But like seeing how skilled Din is this entire season in combat, because like he's pretty successful the entire season in like hand-to-hand stuff. Seeing him struggle against the solo Dark Trooper, one, it's entertaining. Two, it does feel like it has some stakes behind it, because like get a lot of damage in on that headpiece at the beginning of that fight, man. Like you're not too sure. It's like, is it gonna crush?
I was gonna say, did you notice? I think this was also pointed out in the new Rockstars thing, but every single time the Dark Trooper like punched Din in the face, his helmet didn't crush, but he just like got like further into the back. Like, yeah. Did you notice that? That's so funny.
Yeah, so like you are curious. It's like, hey, is this like he gonna have some actual issues here? Like, what's going on?
For sure. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of fanfare as well on the Star Wars TikTok about the Dark Trooper theme. It's very like mechanical. People are saying it goes hard. It does.
I mean, I should probably get it on TikTok and just like sort of just like curate my feed to be only Star Wars stuff.
I've gotten to that point. It's pretty good.
Because if there are people who are talking about this kind of stuff, I want in.
Exactly. It was really cool. And like I went back because I didn't even really go in on it the first time, but the Dark Troopers are cool, and I think the theme helps because it is very industrial. It goes against a lot of the typical Mandalorian score we've heard from Ludwig, but good fight.
So yeah, I guess Mandalorian quickly, or not quickly, but he eventually dispatches one of those dark troopers, and they have to. He eventually finds Grogu's like cell,
Mm-hmm.
with Moff Gideon standing inside, holding the dark saber ominously over Grogu's head. Get that thing away from my man, little Grogu.
Did you think he
Too
was gonna?
close, too close with the dark saber there.
Did you think he was gonna kill him? Because I know last week I said that I had a theory Grogu is dead. I'm glad he wasn't, but I was nervous.
I mean, Moff Gideon later on, excuse me, did try to kill Grogu, so
Yeah, so I don't know, man.
partially went true.
Yeah, because in that scene he's talking about like, hey, I got what I wanted out of him. Like, and he at that point in that scene he's more protective of the darksaber, and I thought that was interesting too. Like, obviously he turns on him, but I thought that was neat how he was like, I don't really care about the kid anymore. Like, I just give him my ship, let me keep my sword. Like, you can take him.
Yeah, I think that was a load of crap. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, because he tries to kill him right afterward. Yeah, no, weird that Din, like, he seems so street smart. He didn't realize that. Like, even I was just like, dude, he's lying to you.
I mean, I kind of bought it honestly because I thought Gideon, based on like clearly how skilled he knows Din can be, and I think he'd know that Beskar blocks a lightsaber. Like, I,
Mhm.
I think that him just taking the child, like, I genuinely thought there might have been a little bit of sincerity there because think about the doctor too. Like, he's not actively there on the ship, right? We don't know where the doctor was. He could have been leaving. He could have been like, "Hey, my work here is done." Um, so there are some open-ended things there where you could assume like whatever his intentions are because we don't get more answers about the cloning or anything like that. That was teased this season, but I believed him, and the way that Din was like cutting a deal, I was like, okay, this isn't his character. He's not like fully altruistic. He's in it for the kid. So
Oh yeah, no, I knew it was in his character for him to act like that. I was like, he definitely wants just to like get out with Grogu, and he doesn't really care about anything else or
yeah,
anybody else.
yeah,
Um,
because like he made an agreement with Bo, but like I feel like he'd turn on that. If it meant
yeah,
getting the kid, like yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
So
but I mean, yeah, and it ended up that Moff Gideon was the one who turned on that first, and yeah, they had this pretty cool fight, which we've been sort of it was foreshadowed ever since episode 5, I believe, of Ahsoka.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, so yeah, Moff Gideon is actually pretty nice with the dark saber actually,
Yeah,
and messes up our man Din, but eventually Din is able to disarm him and take him into the bridge where he meets up with our friends, Cara Dune and Bo Katan and
mhm.
Sasha Banks' character, uh, along with Grogu. Moff Gideon is in shackles, and Din Djarin is holding the ignited darksaber, which is a problem.
Yeah. I thought that was very cool because like I really like Din because he's like almost everything that OG Boba Fett isn't. Where like he's not too cool, and I think that makes him cool. Like
Yeah,
he kind of stumbled into that. Like he's like,
no,
oh what? Like, oh, I didn't want this. Like that's cool. It makes him cooler.
I noticed like on my second rewatch, I think Moff Gideon he says like, "Oh, you're sparing my life." Well, this should get interesting or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's
So
neat.
yeah. So I guess it turns out that apparently Bo-Katan was in it for the dark saber, obviously, but new made up rule for the Mandalorian TV show, I guess, the ruler of Mandalore has to beat the person who was wielding the dark saber before them in battle.
Well,
Uh,
that's how it was in Clone Wars, right?
so actually in Rebels, Bo-Katan is given the dark saber by Sabine, and she doesn't ever like fight Sabine, Ren, or anything like that. She just takes the dark saber from her, just hands it off, and that's it.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Um,
like she lost it, So like, I mean, I could see a world where like her reasoning is more along the lines of like, hey, I was like, I got a handout the first time, I want to earn it this time.
Well, that's the thing. People are speculating that maybe like once she was like handed the dark saber, like she wasn't able to rally Mandalore or
Sure.
something,
Okay.
right? Because like people were just like, "Well, you didn't like win this. Like you don't deserve this, you
Mhm.
know? Like you were just given it."
Yeah.
And then eventually, obviously, she lost it at some point.
Hmm.
So it might be just a combination of like, oh, I need to get revenge on Moff Gideon for like making me look like a fool, and I need to prove to my people that like I am the true leader of Mandalore.
Yeah, and it is probably along those lines because Gideon says like there's no power behind the actual sword; it's the story, which is exactly like the ramifications of that would be like getting your people to believe in you. You know. Um.
Totally, yeah, totally. I mean, like, I guess it proves like you can have the dark saber, but as if your people aren't behind you, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything.
Um. And I've seen some speculation too about people, running with what season 3 is going to be about, and we can talk about that a little more at the end of the episode. But I've seen like, oh, is Bo-Katan going to be a villain? I don't think so. Like, I really don't. Or not even a villain, but like an antagonist for Din. I don't think that's going to be the case. I would love a world where like the entire season is like a subplot. Din is just trying to like get her to like agree to hey, you want to play chess? Like, you want to play like hall chess?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then like
yeah.
if she bests him, it's like, oh hey, you won. And just like that the entire
Oh
season.
no. Yeah, like, oh, looks like I have to give you the dark saber now. Whoops.
Yeah, it's like arm wrestling contest.
Yeah. Oh no, you won. Oh,
Yeah.
looks like this is yours now. See ya. No, yeah, it's pretty funny because like I saw this meme, and it's like oh, they likened Din Djarin to just like accidentally becoming like the president of Mandalore, like without like even wanting it. Like, oh, I guess I'm president now.
Mhm.
But so yeah, that whole conflict was quickly pushed to the side
Mhm.
in the episode because the Dark Troopers come back.
Yeah.
They fly back. They fly now.
Yeah, they fly now. Cause get this,
They fly
Mike,
now.
robots don't need oxygen. Funny
Robots don't
enough.
need oxygen. It's funny. It's funny because like when Din let the Dark Troopers go, I was like, oh, that's like such a lame way to just get rid of them all. Like I wish we could have seen more, right?
Mhm.
And then they come flying back, and I was like, oh right, they're robots.
Mhm.
So they come back. Is there something you want to say?
No, I was just agreeing.
So they come back, and everyone's like, kind of scared, obviously, because there are many dark troopers and like very few of them. And they're all just up on the bridge, and they're waiting for the dark troopers to come.
Gideon's
Where
talking
out of
smack.
Gideon's talking smack.
Mhm.
He's like everyone here is gonna die except for me and Grogu.
Mhm.
Uh, so you guys are just like done for, losers. And out of nowhere, we hear beeping, and the camera. Every character looks to the window, and what do we see? An X-wing flying in. What the heck?
Dude,
What's up with this X-wing, man?
from the millisecond that we saw the X-wing, I knew. Like,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
introduced one
yeah.
rogue X-wing. Like, for a second in my head, I was like, "Is it Dave Filoni?" Like, for like a half second, and I was like, "No, it's not. It's not."
I mean, the first thing I was like, oh, is that like Luke's X-wing?
Oh no, that was the
I
first
was,
thing. That was the
yeah,
exact. That was the first thing, and then I was like, "Would they do like the
I was
Rangers?"
like looking.
No.
Right, no, I was like looking for like the red markings on it. I was like,
Yeah.
is that red? Like,
Hmm.
and yeah, I mean, like for a split second, I was like, is it Ezra? Like, could be Ezra, right? Like, it's possible if he has an X-wing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, as they're all hiding up on the bridge, just basically waiting for their deaths, the dark troopers stop pounding on the door, and they meet their match, their end rather.
Hmm.
A black hooded figure. They basically just like watch him on the security cam
I
footage.
I love the reveal, and this is
Yeah,
what I was saying too about why I loved showing Din after this season of him being excellent, struggling against a single dark trooper because it just shows how strong Luke is when he's introduced and he's like cutting through him like left and right. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I loved the reveal because again, like I said, you and I, we both knew from the second the X-Wing showed up. It's like, okay, gut feeling, yes, it's Luke. They're doing Luke. And then
and it turns out to be Luke Skywalker, obviously. But
yeah, the way they do the reveal though, I really like, because like not many people would be able to just immediately 100% say it's Luke based off a single X-Wing showing up, but just like
but me and you are a different breed of people, Christian.
No, I mean like for the number of like the reach that this show has, a lot of people's introduction to Star Wars is this show. Like it's like who's Luke,
sure.
But the way he's introduced, I really like because you see the black hood, right, and then it's introduced that way, and then you see on the security footage in black and white, you see a lightsaber, so you're like, oh, it is a Jedi, but it's in black and white, so it's like, is it a green lightsaber? And then I think the next thing that was like a hint was it showed the Force, and it was like the black glove. I think that was the next thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, it was like a backward shot, and you can see his black glove holding it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then immediately after that, you see the green lightsaber, and it's like, oh, sweet, they're doing Luke. Great action sequence. I've seen a million comparisons to the hallway scene in Rogue One with Vader, like father like son. I've seen that a lot, but yeah,
I think it was probably echoed, created with that in mind, for sure. Especially that sequence where he like gets out of the elevator, and it's like the dramatic like the beeping of the elevator, like just the anticipation of waiting for him to like come out, and he immediately like cuts down every dark trooper like they're butter.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool, dude. Like this is the type of Luke Skywalker that I wanted to see for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like
we're getting. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's just like he's just like at the top of his game, like he's just like the greatest Jedi in the galaxy, and it's like so true. He's like legendary status, and it like comes through like through the gravitas of like how he's presented on screen. I really like that.
Yeah, and I also like a lot too, because again, sequels are still canon, so we're building off of everything. Like even based on the originals, because this is only a couple years after Return, he's still messing with some dark side stuff. He's doing like some crushing with the Force, like some choking on the droids, but he's still doing like that type of planning across the battlefield, which I like. So
now in terms of sorry,
that was it.
Oh, in terms of Luke Skywalker eventually gets to the bridge here and confronts our heroes of the Mandalorian and takes off his hood, and we get to see a good look at his face. Now, originally when I was watching this, I thought in the moment that it was Sebastian Stan. I just like I couldn't tell. Like I was just sort of like, oh, that looks like really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, also like he sounds exactly like him. Like the voice and like the cadence and just like everything like was so on point. So that's why I was like, that's so weird. Like, is that Sebastian Stan? But like it sort of looked like him, but it looked off, and like I couldn't tell, and like so I had to wait to the end credits.
Yeah. So the whole action sequence, because you're right to point that out, we don't see his face until he gets to the room with the crew. Yeah. That whole action sequence, I was expecting it to be Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
And then when the hood came off, I was kind of with you. I was like, wait, is that him? Is it like I thought it might have been him with like a makeup layer over and like a little bit of CG on his face to like change his like some structure. But I was like, I think that's Sebastian Stan with just like a lot of work done in post. And no, there's a body double there, but it is Mark Hamill. He was on set. He did the dialogue. It was him. And it was his facial structure. It's his face, just de-aged.
It's really crazy, I have to say.
Yeah.
So you also thought it was Sebastian Stan until like the credits, basically.
Yes.
The first time you watched it.
Yeah, like at first I was like, oh, it's him, right? With the post stuff, but like I was questioning it here and there, but yeah, same page.
Yeah, I thought it was him. I was questioning it here and there too. I was like, it looks like a little off in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like all things considered, it looks like so freaking good. It's so on point. Definitely better than Leia in Rogue One, I think.
Oh yeah, I think with Rogue One we had Tarkin and Leia. I think this tech just gets better and better, so I think yes, it makes them look like video game characters, but I personally really liked it. Granted, I was watching it on my laptop, so I don't know how it scales upward, but I did see a surprising number of people saying that they hated how it looked. They thought it looked terrible. But like I thought it was the best de-aging that Disney's done so far.
I didn't think it looked terrible at all, dude. Like
Yeah.
actually, I think that usually I'm pretty good at like figuring out these things and like noticing like when things like this are happening. I guess I just totally failed on this one though. Like I didn't think that they look like a video game like it looks like a video game character even after knowing like what they did. You know,
Yeah.
like I think they executed it really well, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that where they like the setting and everything was sort of dark and like smoky, so it was able to sort of like muddle it up a little bit. It was like a less clear vision of Luke. But yeah, I thought it looked great. I know a lot of people on the internet are saying that it could have been better with a deep fake. So like I've seen some videos where like people have deep fake technology and sort of like did their own version of the scene, and in some ways it does look better, I have to say.
Yeah,
I don't know
like
if you've seen any of that.
I mean, I don't know what it is. I can never imagine a big studio using that tech. I don't see it happening ever. I think it's all the proprietary stuff that they work on and develop. I don't think they'd ever be use like because as far as I know, deepfake stuff. If you know how to do it, you can do it. Like I don't. I know there's like weird laws around it now sometimes, but like if Disney wanted to, they could. But so could Universal and Paramount. Like I don't think you know what I'm saying? Like they've invested so much in this to do like the ILM way that I could never see them do deep fake stuff that somebody could do over the weekend, you know?
True, true. I mean, like, at that you make a very good point in the fact that like, we are talking about Industrial Light and Magic, like the premier visual effects studio in the world. They have their own proprietary technology to do this sort of thing. And it looks great. It really does. And I'm sure it'll just continue getting better as they continue to do this.
Yeah, so do you want to talk about the Luke stuff more now or after the fact? Because the rest of the scene plays out of like he's like, "Come here, little one," and like he gives this whole speech about how he'll train Grogu, and
right.
Luke does his Jedi Luke thing that we all thought was going to happen, and then like R2 shows up, which is super cool, but
that worked really well, by the way.
Yeah, it did. Do you think, because I was talking to Jack about this, do you think that in the future, if Luke returns, he'll be recast? Or do you will it be actually Sebastian Stan next time if he has a bigger role in season 3? Or more of this?
I was going to ask you the same question, actually, because I think it's interesting. I do think that this was just like a one-off thing for Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
I do think eventually, like, Luke Skywalker will have to be recast.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way that they could I mean, I don't want to say that there's no way they can do it because there definitely is, but I think it would just make more sense for them to find a more like long-standing like actor to just do the role. Because like God forbid, like what if something happens to Mark Hamill? You don't want to like have to just like put all your eggs in one basket there,
Yeah. I agree with you, and also it's the nature of Star Wars to have like two versions of every major character, like the prequels. Look at that, man. Like we've had even like ancillary characters. We've had like two Mon Mothmas. We've had like two Obi-Wans. We've had two Vader or more Vaders, two Anakins. Like this is a normal thing. We've had two Hans. Like
Star Wars is good with making do with the characters that they have when they need to, but like you can't have 60-year-old Mark Hamill playing like a 30-year-old Luke all the time.
Yeah, like it's just logistically it won't work out the way you want it to long term, and this is a long term game, and I'm sure we've said this at some point in this show, but like even more now, I'm really thinking we're gonna reach a point where we already have episodes 10, 11, 12. And we're going to pull up prequels again. And I think we're going to get a new 7, 8, 9 that bridges the gap between 6 and Force Awakens. I think that's coming, because wait like 5 more years, Sebastian Stan will be the right age to be Luke when he picks up after 6. Alden Ehrenreich will be 2. We just need to find a Leia. We have a Lando. Like,
That's so true, man. It's actually very true. They've all been recast like really well.
yeah, you know,
I
like
mean, though Sebastian Stan hasn't gotten it fully, but yeah.
I think it makes too much sense, man. Like, it really does for how much outcry there is too about people thinking Luke was like, this is how Star Wars works. Like, we fill in the gaps after the fact. I think that's gonna happen again, especially if they're messing with Luke now in this show. Like, I would not be surprised that we get the announcement of like Star Wars Episode 7 New Jedi Order in like 6 years, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Disney to do something like that. There's just too much money to me, man.
Yeah, and I think like the story's there too, because people seem to forget this. There's 30 years between 6 and 7. Like, and the reason this Luke is the Luke everybody wanted is because that's how it works in the timeline, you know? Episode 8 Luke is 30 years older than he is in 6. That's why he's different. Like, I think
totally, yeah.
There's room to explore this version of Luke. I think we will get that, and I really liked their take on it here. So,
me too. I think they were probably nervous to do this. I see why. I mean, it's like such an iconic character.
Yeah.
It's hard to bring something like this back, but I do think personally they nailed it. Like, Luke Skywalker is like my favorite Star Wars character, and like it was cool to see him in that way. Like, it's something you always wanted to see, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I mean, it was great, man. Why don't we just talk? Oh, one thing about the Luke thing that I want to bring up. Apparently, Mark Hamill tweeted that this has been a secret for like over a year, and it has never been like obviously it wasn't spoiled in any way. Like, we didn't get any casting rumors about this. And Jon Favreau today, Monday, December 21st, he said on Good Morning America that they were really scared that this was going to leak because all the other castings, secret castings had leaked. But I guess they kept it tight within a small group of people, and it never did, which is pretty cool.
We just got lucky guesses, you know.
Right. Lucky guesses. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about the real cap to the episode in terms of the story of the Mandalorian? The Grogu and Din Djarin part ways. Grogu goes with Luke. The Mandalorian sort of does what he was quested to bring Grogu back with one of his kind, and that's what he did, right?
Yeah, man. Like, the last 7 minutes of this episode is just, it's too much. Like,
yeah,
seeing Luke come back, riding that high, and then getting the Din and Grogu reunited, and then like the character development for Din, he takes the mask off for the kid, and like he's the first form of contact he's had and like affection he's ever been shown in like 30 years, is this kid like stroking his face as like a goodbye sort of thing. Like, it's so sad, but I was so high off the Luke reveal that I didn't get sad until like 5 minutes after the episode ended, and I was just like, there were tears in my eyes, man. I was like, man, God.
No, I like this. The ending like legit brought me to tears. Like, the fact that we were seeing Luke, it was just like emotional overload. I think.
It's too much.
Too much. But yeah, man, like the character development in terms of Luke. Din Djarin taking off his helmet to actually lay his eyes on Grogu. It reminds me of Darth Vader when he's like, take my mask off. Let me look on you with my own eyes.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, just beautiful stuff. The music is just like perfectly it like swells at like the perfect moment, and like Pedro Pascal just with the tears in his eyes, man. They just really sell it. Like, they really do.
Yeah, that might be one of my favorite moments of the show so far, honestly. Like, all the badass stuff aside, like, I feel like a lot of people have been saying this, but the show's moments that are like really emotional and complex, and like there's stuff to like read out of it, are so rare that they just stand out even more, like that's why we were so floored by the Bill Burr scene last week, because the rest of the show is kind of flat in terms of its writing, which I like it for that, honestly, but I was not ready for that. this all happened way sooner than I thought it was gonna. I thought like we were gonna get into Luke next season, or we're gonna settle that next season, but no, we end on that, and that's heart-wrenching.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really just begs the question, like, where do we go from here, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like, are we gonna see Grogu again? Like, the whole point of this really was the Mandalorian and Grogu. That was the focal of the Mandalorian, and now they're separated.
Yeah.
It seems as though the Mandalorian has brought Grogu to where he needs to be. That the story seems to have ended, but we know that there's a season 3. So where do we go?
Yeah. So before the Boba Fett thing was confirmed, I threw this out in the old group chat. I was like, hey, what if the Mandalorian's plural? And it's just like the people, the Mandalorian people, and it's like cycling between the focus of Din and Boba and Bo-Katan, and I think that might still be in the realm of possibility. Obviously, we know Boba Fett's thing is his own thing, but we leave off with another big cliffhanger of like what's happening with the Darksaber business. So I think that's probably going to be the focus of season 3 for at least the first half. But I think it's foolish to expect that Grogu's gone forever. Like I think he's coming back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's no way that he's gone forever.
Yeah, like. Do you think there's a world where he's not in season 3 at all, and like him and Luke show up to help out with the big event we build to, which we're still assuming is the Siege of Mandalore 2? Like,
I don't know. I just think that like in some way, I don't think it's going to be Grogu who sort of like tries to show up. I think it's going to be Din, right? Like I think the next season is just going to be like Din dealing with this, like. And I feel like it's going to be very good for his character development.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe he's gonna like try to like seek Grogu out again, right? I don't know, man. Like, how is he gonna deal with that?
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm curious to see, like, clearly we've seen that he has changed in terms of the Children of the Watch mentality, right? He unmasks for somebody else, and like everybody else saw his face there, so I'm assuming it's just like, hey, you saw it, I might as well just keep the helmet off, it's easier.
Yeah, he's probably past that at this point.
So I think symbolically that could lead into some interesting things with his philosophy on Mandalore and how he feels about the Darksaber thing. Like maybe he wants to get involved with the planet of Mandalore and their culture, and maybe he's not ready to give the Darksaber out. Maybe he finds a new purpose in that,
Very true. Maybe he takes on the mantle of president of Mandalore.
Yeah, like I think we could do some interesting things with that, for at least like the majority of the season. And like it's gonna be an amazing moment when like they're pinned down in a corner, and then all of a sudden some enemy that's got them pinned starts floating up, and then who is it? Oh, Grogu's here, like.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, so I think Grogu's gonna come back. There's another theory I've seen floating around a lot. Does Ben Solo kill Grogu? What do you think?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What? This presumably might be Luke's first student, potentially. I could see a world where, it doesn't take 30 years to train a Padawan. Like, I think maybe he could fulfill his training in a couple, and then he's like, you know what? Here you go. Go do some work in this sector of the galaxy, and then he survives the second purge. Like I think Filoni and Favreau will find any way possible to allow their characters to survive the terrible events so we can explore the future of the saga through them. I really think that's going to be the case.
Probably. I mean, I just don't think it's likely that Kylo Ren, Grogu is one of Kylo Ren's, one of the reasons. I don't know. I just don't think that's part of the story here.
Yeah, I think by the time the temple burns, I think Grogu's long gone, personally.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, is there anything else you want to say about this episode? I mean, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot that's going forward here. We already talked about like the very ending of this, but it's just like there's so much to process, Christian. But it's just also so good, you know.
Yeah, I'm really excited by it. I think we could be getting into some really interesting things in the coming years or months about the post six world. I think there's some things that are, I think, coalescing in terms of the expanded universe right now with like post six, like who's alive, who's operating, and I think there's a world where we really do get to see Luke's Jedi temple and his academy. I really think we're building towards that. Like, think of how many celebrated characters are out and about right now. You know, like force sensitive Jedi people he could train. Like there is a young Ben Solo. There's Grogu. There's Cal Kestis. There's Ezra. Well, like presumably Cal, but like I think he'd be down. Ahsoka to an extent. You don't know if she wants to come back. I still think there's a world where maybe Luke's ideology for 8 can be influenced by her. So I think there's a lot of really interesting ways we can go. I think that might be something we build towards. And if that is the case, I'm very excited for that.
For sure. Yeah, I think absolutely that, you know, we're going to be seeing some more about I think the TV shows are going to be exploring that time period that you're talking about, like the post six time period. And I think that you know, with all these TV shows coming out during that time period, I think that gives such a good, you know, way to sort of expand upon that, because we haven't seen it in the current canon, and I'm excited, man.
Me too.
Good stuff all around. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to say, Christian.
Good season.
Good season. The best season of The Mandalorian so far, I think it's safe to say. And yeah, I think that's really all we had to talk about today. Christian, I know you're much better at doing the outros than I am, so I'll let you do this one.
I got you. This show is available on youtube.com/joyclicks, as well as podcast services like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you listen or watch, check out the other versions too. It helps us out. If you can rate or review on your audio service of choice, please do so. And likewise, if you're on YouTube, you enjoy the show, be sure to give it a like. Helps us out. This is our final regular episode of the year. We will be putting up another bonus like discussion sort of episode with special guests in the next couple weeks. We will be back though early January, continuing on Jedi Knights. We have like one episode, I think, before we do our Order 66 special, so look forward to that in the new year. I think that's everything for this show. We have Patreon too, patreon.com/joyclicks if you want to get involved. Get producer credit like Aaron Easton.
If you're not subscribed already, you should, because we got to get to 2,000 subs.
Yeah, we're very close. I checked earlier today. I don't know if the metric has gone up at all, but we are 30 away from 2,000 as of the 21st.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay,
we're getting close.
So
but yeah, Mike, where can the listeners find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Chris N. Buckley. And this show's Twitter handle at Jedi Knights JC for updates during our break and everything else in between. But I think that's going to wrap it up. Great year for Star Wars. I'm excited for next year.
Great year for Star Wars. Great year on the show, Christian. This is our first like full year doing this.
Yeah.
And I don't think we missed did we miss an episode?
I was just gonna say, I don't think we missed a week. I really don't. I think like we took a couple weeks off at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, I think we took a couple weeks off like here and there like we usually do, but
yeah, like because last year we were doing studio only, so we weren't doing any remote episodes, but yeah, I think ever since we started, maybe like 1 week grace for the whole pandemic moving situation, but I think we hit every week. So
I think so, man. I honestly, we've come down to a system doing this over Zoom. So yeah, it's such a blast, man. I'm excited for another year talking about Star Wars, Christian.
Absolutely, and 2021 seems like it will be full of it, and I cannot wait. So.
Lots to talk about, man.
Yeah, so until the new year, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the Force be with you.
Hello there. This is where the fun begins.
General Kenobi.